Yay!
Yay! Welcome, guys. Week 6. Can you believe it? We're already on week 6. It's the end. Can't believe it. It's been such a fun journey. And you guys are all going to get to go on break. You guys excited for break?
Very.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. Yeah, Chef, I'm super excited. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. So glad. So important things to remember. See, did anybody make this face right here? Anybody? Anybody? Nobody? Nice one, Tracy. Nice one. Things to remember. Assignments are due on Sunday, 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. So do your assignments. They're due on Sunday. Makeup assignments are due tonight. So get your makeup assignments in because they are due at 11:59 p.m. And this also brings me to my delightful surprise to all of you. What a surprise! Oh, yes, exactly, a surprise. For those who turn in their assignment early by Saturday, 11:59 p.m., anybody who, I don't know, you had a late assignment, you're missing 15 points, I'm going to look at what assignment you may or may not have had, you know, maybe you missed, you were late, maybe something happened. I'm going to give you extra credit on top of that assignment to boost your assignment up. So maybe that 85 will now magically turn into 100. But you have to turn in your assignment early. You have to turn it in by Saturday, 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time to get the extra credit. We also still have the doing the survey extra credit. So for those who do the survey, you will get extra credit. And remember, you can't just say that I'm horrible. You have to explain why I'm horrible. I can never learn if you don't tell me why. So remember that when you're filling out the survey.
Exactly where is the survey at, Chef? Because I didn't see it. I didn't know if you had put it up already.
No, it should be posted right on the front of the webpage, right on the very top.
Right.
Mind if I do a screen share real quick?
Yeah, that'd be great, Chef.
All right. So survey right at the top, right here.
Oh, okay.
Makeup assignments, in case you don't know where to find them, all the way at the bottom, right here. You might have to scroll back up to find them, but there they are.
Okay.
And, you know, week 6, as always, right there.
All right. Thank you.
And Chef, how was everything looking for assignments this week? How's everything looking for this past week?
Good. I saw a lot of great assignments. I love the creativity that went into some of these marketing techniques. A lot of you guys had some really great research done into your local newspapers or radio stations or any other type of marketing that you were looking into. You really did some great research. Some of the more common stumbling blocks that I saw this week were maybe not talking about the cost of what each of these marketing techniques were and how they really fit into that annual budget of your marketing budget. So that was a more common stumbling block. I would say the other most common one would be not really talking about how you're going to implement these techniques, talking about wanting to use Facebook to promote your business, but not talking about how exactly you're going to do that. How about you, Chef Greg?
The same. I did appreciate the creativity. There was a lot of nice work and nice thoughts, some out-of-the-box thinking. I do agree with the stumbling blocks. Please do remember that you do have your budget. That's why that was first. And then all of your marketing, Facebook, subway posters, everything will go, you're creating that to fit into your budget for the year. So there is a lot of great things. Just remember, it is for the entire year. So if you were to do a ton of commercials in 3 or 4 weeks, that would be your marketing budget for the entire year.
And if you happen to make one of these common mistakes and lost some points, you do have until Sunday to resubmit that will close at the same time as the week 6 assignment. So you can't go back and resubmit for up to full credit if you were on time. And there was something else I was going to say. Oh, the whole course closes Sunday night. It's not just the assignment. At midnight, Monday morning, we're done. The class is closed. So make sure anything you want to get done in this course is submitted, it's completed, and it's where you want it to be before Monday hits.
That's another reason why it's so important to get that extra credit by turning in your assignment early. Turn it in on Saturday. Not only will you have that chance, if you made a mistake, you can fix it by Sunday, by the closing date, but you get extra credit on top. So why not turn it in on Saturday? It's just an extra day. Just think of it like this. You had a catering come up. They switched the catering time on you. So they just bumped it up. Chef Gregory knows all about catering. He had a delightful time doing a bunch of caterings this week. So it just got bumped up a little bit. So you bump it up an extra day. Boom. Get it done. All right?
I prepped a party for 2,000 people this week. So definitely can all be done.
Exactly. It can be done. And then this week, this is an exciting week because you talk about your concept, right? We talked about your target market. We went through the whole demographic, and looking at the demographic is broad, and you narrow it down to find your target market. We've talked about marketing. We've talked about all the laws and regulations and all the fun awesomeness that goes into starting a business. And now, how are you going to get the money to make this a reality? That is what we get to go over today. And I absolutely love this. Yes, who has their hand raised?
Chef Jennifer has her hand raised.
Yes. Jennifer. Yes, Jennifer?
Okay, am I unmuted now?
Yeah.
Just curious. I understand that you course closes on Sunday and stuff, but I wanted to find out if we were able to turn it in a little early. Are we going to be able to do any resubmitting if we wanted a better grade? If for some reason it just didn't work out the first time around?
That is an awesome question, and the answer is yes and no. Yes, you will get to resubmit week 6 if you get it in tomorrow. If you get it in tonight, because we will have some time to grade it probably tomorrow. But you will not be able to resubmit after 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time on Sunday. So at that time, once you get your grade, that's it. So you want to make sure you submit early so you have that opportunity if you need to go back and make any adjustments.
And remember, when we say early, we don't mean like 11:50 p.m. on Sunday. It's actually like, doing a couple of days early is really, really important, especially if you want to get those resubmits in. So like submit now or tomorrow. But like now would be great, especially like why not do it after the live session? Everything's gonna be nice and refreshed, and you're gonna be like, yeah, I got this, boom, 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 like on it. So why not submit now after the live session, right, Chef?
Absolutely. And one other quick thing about that closing time, you might notice there's no room for late assignments. There is no late penalty this week because you're not allowed to submit late. If you try to submit at 12 a.m. Monday morning, it will not let you. You will be locked out. The course will be closed. So make sure you're not leaving it to the last 5 minutes just in case something comes up with your computer. Make sure you're doing it that morning so that you have time to resolve any issues that you might have and get it submitted before that deadline.
Exactly. So just remember, submit early. Not only do you get extra credit, but you get a chance to, fix the errors of the first time. So, how to fund your business. This is always such a fun part of your business. For me, it's fun because you're looking at all the possibilities. A lot of people are like, no, I want to pick out the tile, and I want to pick out the recipes and all that stuff. That's all good, but you need to make certain you have that financing to make this a reality. And there's so many different possibilities out there for you. It's just a matter of figuring out which one's going to be the best one for you. And some key things, like I've talked about, I brought this old guy back out, is doing the research. You have to make certain you do your research. You have to have your plan ready. This means your business plan, your marketing plan, doing a feasibility analysis, testing your concept on your target market. All of these things, you need to be ready, because the investor, the bank, anybody you're getting your money from, they want to see that you're ready. They want to see that you did your homework, you did the research, and you have the ability to back up what you're saying, what you're trying to sell. And it's better to do the research. And to be honest, I remember times when I was pregnant and having complete baby brain and having to talk to investors and owners. And then all of a sudden, as I'm talking, I'm realizing I'm just talking. I knew the research so well that it just happened second nature. And I would even pause in my head and think am I even knowing what I'm saying right now? I have such bad baby brain. I don't even know what I'm saying. I think this sounds good. This sounds really good. I think I knew my research so well that it just instantaneously came to me. It didn't have to have a second thought about it. It just, boom, it was there. And that's why it's so important for anything from this class. It is knowing your research. You can't just say, I want to open up a restaurant. Everybody wants to know how and why. Why is this going to be a good idea, and how are you going to do it? So that is the key part for entrepreneurs, is knowing the why and the how. And if you don't, you can problem solve it. You have that ability to problem solve and figure out what you need to do to make your business a success. And a key thing, if you guys noticed, on my thing, we talk about the different styles of funding and all that stuff. And one important thing that I thought needed all caps was avoid borrowing from family. I don't want my sister involved in my business at all. We have a great phone relationship. We can talk over the phone all the time and it's wonderful, but I don't want her in my business. I don't want her telling me well, I gave you money, so it's my business too. Does anybody want to actually have family in their business? Because I would not. Not at all. My favorite example, I'll bring it all full circle for you guys, is Bob's Burgers. Because who doesn't love a Bob's Burgers reference? Bob's friend tried to give him $100,000. His friend started making changes to his business that Bob did not like. He ended up giving the money back. That is a perfect real life example of why you don't want to borrow money from your family. Don't start a fight. Many fights start due to borrowing money. Don't have your business be one of them. And another one, that 77% of small businesses rely on personal savings for their initial funds. Let's not have that be one of the options here. Let's look at all the different options that you have that you can use for your business. So, how much money will you need? I pulled these delightful numbers for you guys. So for those who think they can start up a food truck with $500, that's not necessarily going to be the case. A food truck if it's already pre-done exactly the way you like, will cost still $28,000. And if you're gonna build your own food truck, that can go up to $100,000. So just for those who are like, oh, I'm gonna do a food truck, it's not that much money. It's still money. Because remember, you still have your marketing. Remember that delightful budget? You still have your marketing budget. You still have salaries and startup costs, equipment, permits. All of those things add up. Average restaurant is around $500,000. And you have to also take into account that your location may be a significant factor in all of these numbers. Now, how many people thought in the last assignment that showed, was it 2 assignments ago where it showed the rent being at $2,000? How many people thought that was high for rent? Raise a hand. I got a couple of people. $2,000 a month was high. I can tell you right now.
I thought it was low.
You thought it was low? Yeah, because in Fort Collins, Colorado, like I can tell you that we were looking at places, and my husband's in real estate. You're going to be spending like $5,000 is low end. You're going to be anywhere between $7,000 up to like $10,000 a month in rent alone. Katrina, what is your question? Katrina? Do you have a question? No? Okay, I'll move on. So remember, location is a big factor on how much you're actually going to be spending on things like rent. Now, you may be in a different place. Like my friend lives in like Illinois, like farm country Illinois, where she bought like practically a mansion for $50,000. And that's great, but you know, your numbers may be different. But this is a general guideline for all of the different stuff. Are you going to hire lawyers? Are you going to hire an accountant? Are you going to have to do all the work to the actual establishment? Those are things you need to consider when you're looking at prices. Tammy, what is your question?
Oh, I was going to ask you, since you have more experience, in Australia, what am I looking at?
Australia, I honestly will have to say I have to look at that point because I don't remember, because it's been like over 15 years. So, and it's still going to be Sydney. Sydney is like New York City, you know, like look at, those are comparable prices. So it all depends on the location you're going to be in and how much that's going to cost. So, but I did basic ones for your restaurant. You got your food truck, your bar. And then for those who are like, I want to open up my own franchise, how much do I need for that? I pulled up this delightful link for you guys that I am providing. That shows you how you almost need like $1.5 million to open up that delightful McDonald's. That's right. Like $1 million to open up a McDonald's. Subway, it's between 100,000 $250, that kind of thing. You got your Pinkberry franchise. So if you think like, well, I'm just going to do franchises, these cost money. Wendy's requires $2 million in liquid assets, $5 million net worth for new multi-unit franchises. That's a lot of money, right? So these are some examples of how important it is to make certain that you have that funding. Because remember, you can't just have the dream, you need to back it up. And you need to back it up with the money, and you back it up with your research that you've done. So that is delightful. And so, yes.
I was just about to say, also on a franchise, you do have to go to school for your franchise. So if you opened a Subway, Subway does have its own university that you need to go to learn exactly what products, exactly how long you proof the bread, bake the bread. Wendy's is the same thing, Dunkin' Donuts. They all do have a school involved, just for anybody that's thinking about it in the future. So you would need to allocate a lot of time to that. And then you also have to have your finances, a lot of it up front before you can actually attend the school.
Chef, We also have a question in the chat.
Okay.
How much would a little bakery be for a startup?
Ooh, I actually looked for the little bakery too. And that was still in between that, it was between that $50,000 and $200,000 mark. Woo! Let's see if I unphase here. Was like, I'm still blurry. I'll just go to the slide then since I'm blurry. But so yes, you know, while you still think, oh, well, I'm just going to have a little bakery, but that little bakery needs equipment and it needs to be looked at by the like health inspectors, and health inspectors were going to look at those plans that you had, and they are going to like, and it depends on where you are, but like the one around like Fort Collins was like $1,200 to have them look at it. That's an initial fee. And then it was like $50 an hour to have them review it. So those are the type of costs that people don't necessarily think of, but they add up, and you have to be prepared for that because that's going to be part of your startup cost. Katrina, I see your hand is raised.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm kind of torn between wanting to do a food truck and a small bakery, and I just heard that you said a small bakery would be, is that cheaper than it would be to do a food truck?
No, not at all. Everything is still going to cost money. So it's just a matter of doing your own research and doing it in your location to understand how much it's really going to cost. Because remember, people, with your food truck, you also need to rent that commissary kitchen. People always think like, oh yeah, no, totally just have a tiny little food truck and it'll be great. But you got to store that food somewhere and you need to rent out a kitchen because that's required by the health department. Right. So think of those items when you're thinking about all of those things. And there's different types of financing that you can get. I gave you guys a couple of different websites that are fantastic. I didn't put it on the slide because I absolutely love this website. It actually really did a great job of breaking down each one that I wanted you guys to be aware of. You have your small business loan, you have your line of credit, and it does a great job of breaking down each one of them, how long you would have it for, how much money you can potentially get, how fast you can get that money. And they have like invoice financing and startup business loans, and they have equipment financing. So maybe you have enough, but you need that money to buy that equipment. You can just get a loan to get the equipment. And it gives you all of this great information right here for you guys, because it goes through all sorts of different loans, because there are a bunch of different loans that you can get. You just need to figure out which one's going to be best for your business. And Chef Greg, were you going to say?
I was actually going to ask you if you could scroll to one of them that has a little bit more, that one. Down where it has the breakdowns for the numbers.
Right here.
Okay.
Okay.
Everybody just look at the interest rates on this. 30, this is 7 in the middle, 7 to 30%. So if you drew $500,000, your interest could be upwards of 30%, and the term is 1 to 5 years. 30% of $500,000 is a huge amount of money. So you're not paying back $500,000 in say 5 years. You're paying back that 30% interest also. So just something to look at when you're looking at loans from a bank or a financing company. Something really, really you have to look into is what an interest rate is. And then you have to ask them if it is a locked interest. Just like a mortgage, you want a locked interest. If it's 7%, you want 7% for the life of the loan. You never want to get into a loan that it's not locked. So it's 7 for 3 months, and then all of a sudden it's 12, and all of a sudden it's 15. In which case it would take a very long time to pay back $500,000. And also, Chef Rhea has her hand up.
Yes, Rhea.
Yes, I was just going to add to what you had said about the commissary kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
Here in Dallas, there's a kitchen that I was going to rent from, and he required $250 as a deposit, And then it was $18 an hour in the day and $16 an hour in the night, because it's a 24/7 kitchen. And then, but before you can even do your thing, you have to have the health department come out, and they have to inspect it again. Even though they've inspected it for him, they have to inspect it for you, so that way they can verify that it's okay for you to cook in that kitchen.
Exactly, because you still have to go through the same health department process to make certain that everything is good.
Right, so you have to pay them. And so you're paying for a license from the city. You're paying the commissary to rent, and then you have to have liability insurance, because you have to make sure that if anybody comes back and says something is wrong or whatever, you have to have liability insurance. So those are,
Yeah, no, it is. And that's why it's really important. Like, I really feel like this is the class where it's more that like reality, the reality of how much money goes into starting a business. And that's why we're very serious on making certain you do your research, because this is a lot of money. So that's why it's really, really important to make sure that you know your stuff. You can back it up. We don't want you to be that 80% statistic failure, that businesses fail within the first 5 years. We don't want that. That's why it's so important to look for your information, do that feasibility analysis, make your business plan and your marketing plan. That way you are ready and you can go to different type of investors, because there are different types of investors that you can choose. If you don't want to go the loan route, you don't want to rack up your rates on credit cards, because as Chef Gregory beautifully said, interest rates are rough. Don't just put a bunch of stuff on your credit card. You're going to be in trouble. That's going to take for you. Don't do it. That's not an option. That is not an option for you guys. You're in our class. That credit card is not an option. So we have the different types of investors. Now, you hear of angel investors, and while the name may sound delightful, they're an investor, people are like, oh yeah, angel investors, they'll just give me all this money and it'll be beautiful. No, they want to see their money. They want that to see what their return on investment is going to be. So even though angel is in the name, don't look at them like they're going to be your savior who's going to give you all this money and just expect you to pay them back with no interest and with nothing else in return. Because they're not giving the money away. So just be aware of that kind of thing. And I gave you guys a link, because this one's just filled with links for you guys of all these different types of, these give you all these different, if that little thing would go away. I know, it's bugging me. Where you can actually find angel investors, where they're located. You can go online and find somebody who is interested in helping you with your business. So you can find this information for these investors. The same thing with your venture capitalists. Now, venture capitalists, a lot of people are like, for those who have seen Shark Tank, any Shark Tank people? Yes, no? Those are going to be more of your venture capitalists, yep. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. They expect, it's more high risk, but they also see the long-term reward. So if you say you're like, I'm going to have a business, we're going to open up one establishment this year, and then next year we're going to open up a second one in a second location. Then year 3 we're going to do a third one, and then we're going to sell one of those locations to a franchisee, and we're going to turn it into a franchise. And now we're going to grow globally, and we're going to expand. If they see your vision for growth, they may start in on, they will give you more money to start, but it's definitely a higher risk for them because you're thinking big, you're going, go big or go home. But they also expect to have at least a 25% or greater on like their return on investment. Went too far. So for those who want to look for a venture capitalist, you have another delightful place where you can find it. See, entrepreneur, investor, boom. Here's another list for you guys to go off of. Website for you guys. And then we have crowdfunding. And for those who do Kickstarters, all that kind of stuff, you have your crowdfunding. And that's just asking for people for money. I know a friend who did crowdfunding for her music. She offered for people who did the crowdfunding, she gave them a free CD. So they still got something. They gave money and they got something. They got a free CD out of it. Like the Veronica Mars movie, people paid money. Then once the film was made, they got access to the film. They didn't have to pay to see it in the movie theater. And this is one that's just for fundraising for restaurants and food trucks and for food wise. So it's a great little place for you guys to explore and to look to see if this is going to be a good option for you or not. And then these are very important things to kind of know when you're thinking about talking and you're talking to people. And if you hear like Shark Tank and all that type of stuff, they're like, what's your equity? What is the equity? What is this? And you need to know, what some of these words are. So like your liability. What do you guys think a liability is?
When you're held responsible for like if something happens, as far as like if somebody gets hurt or something like that on the job. That's a different form of a liability. Yes, that is a great answer. But what's like a business liability for money wise?
Something you can lose money on.
Something you lose money on? That's like, this is going to be like your debt, your financial obligation, like how much you owe to the government for your taxes, how much your supplier, like you owe to your supplier. Those are type of things that you have to think about. What about assets? What do you guys think asset would be?
Profit.
Your profit. What else?
What brings in the money? What is your biggest ticket item, or, whatever it is that's making you the money?
And then what else could technically be an asset, do you guys think?
Things that you may have, and if something goes wrong, something they can get in place of the money.
Yes. And so remember, you have your assets and your liability, and then you subtract it, and that equals your equity, how much your business equity is worth. When people ask for equity, remember, equity is another form of ownership. So if people say, well, I want equity, that means they want to be part of your business. They want to be a member. Are they going to be a stockholder? Are they going to be a member in your LLC? Those are things that you need to think about. Another part is your end game. What do you guys think I mean when I say end game? What is an end game to you? If an investor comes to you and they're like, so what's the end game? What do you think that means?
What's your final results? What is your goal?
Yep. Like, how much are you willing, like, you're losing money. How much are you going to lose before you say, I'm done, right? Or somebody loves your idea and, Sarah Lee is like, oh my God, you make a fantastic brownie. I want to buy this brownie. How much are you going to say like, yeah, you can buy this for $15 million? Like, how much money is going to be the end goal? Like, what do you want to have hope to accomplish with your restaurant? How far are you willing to go with it? Yes. because sometimes you're going to have the good part and sometimes there's going to be a bad part, but you have to plan. You have to make certain you have a plan so you know what you want and how far you'll take it. I say like Gordon Ramsay going on Kitchen Nightmares. Like, I think that's great how he does that. But that's also where you notice people are at the very end, right? They're losing so much money. They're desperate. They don't know what to do. They're losing money. A lot of them, I would have said, should have already closed by then because they went beyond, like they were losing millions and millions of dollars. And I was like, I would have just ended it then. Like they just kept on going. So it's really important to understand what your end goal is going to be. And then once again, I gave you guys another delightful thing because I said, have your pitch ready. All of those nice venture capitalists and angel investors, they're going to want to know all of this great stuff here that is highlighted. And it's the stuff that we've talked about in class. So I gave this to you guys because it says your marketing, your competition, your products and services. Remember, a product in our industry is your tangible and your intangible. So remember, tangible is the thing you can touch, the food, the chairs. The intangible is the experience, your atmosphere. So this is that kind of stuff that is good things to go over. So I gave you guys also that article for you to look at. And then it's important to understand what type of investors you want to get because that's going to help you decide what type of business entity you are going to choose. A lot of times, like sole proprietorship and partnership, these are the two easiest to get. They're very, very easy, but while they're the easiest to get, that also has the most liability. If something happens, it's on you. So you have to be very, very careful with this because you want to make certain that you understand what type of entity that's going to work best for your place. Will sole proprietorship be good? Are you going to have partnerships? These are things you need to consider. And understanding this will also help you understand how you're going to do your taxes. A lot of times with new businesses, a big issue is that people like double tax themselves because they don't quite understand how much they're supposed to be giving to the government, so they overdo it. And this is why it's really important to understand the type of entity you're going to have so that you don't end up making mistakes like giving away your money to the government. They may not want to give it back, right? And then your limited liability corporation, your LLC. Your LLC is a very common business entity to use. A lot of people have it because it's very flexible. I can choose to make my LLC and tax it however is going to fit my business. Maybe I want my LLC to be taxed like a partnership. I'm going to have it set up and formed so it's taxed like a partnership. Maybe I want it to be taxed like a corporation. You can set up your limited liability to be then taxed like an S Corp or a C Corp. Like you can have that flexibility. But you just need to remember whichever entity you decide to do, that you kind of want to make sure that you stick with it because it is very, very difficult to change it. You can still change if you decided like, oh my God, I grew so much, I can do a different entity now. But it is very difficult because you have all the tax information, the government knows you as an LLC, all that type of stuff. So choosing now is very important. This is also where choosing your investor is going to be important too. Say I had an investor and he's international. My business would be perfect. I want to franchise out. So I'm like, okay, but I want to do more like an S corporation. But since I did my research, I realized that he's an international investor. He cannot actually become a member of an S Corp because an S Corp is only good for citizens of the United States. So I either need to become a corporation, like a C Corp, or I become an LLC. This is why knowing the type of investor you have will help you realize the business entity. And then, since we're talking about corporations, we have all these corporations here. How many people actually thought that there are so many corporations, right? There's so many. You have your C Corp, your S Corp, the B Corp that I talked about, was it last week or the week before? Remember that B Corp? You have your closed nonprofit. So Janine, if you're watching the live session archive, because I know that you're not in here, your nonprofit corporation will work very well for your concept. All of these, the corporations really help make certain that it's its own entity, in that if the business needs to sue somebody or somebody is suing the business, you're not going to have that liability. You still may have that liability if you had that fraudulent behavior. So remember, you have to have that ethical behavior when you're talking about all of these awesome different entities and your concept in creating that corporate social responsibility page that I know all of you guys are going to put in your delightful business and marketing plans for me, right? 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 Yes, Chef. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Oh, good. I'm so glad to hear it. So just realize that there's so many different possibilities. And then I wanted to go over your co-ops, your grassroots, because this is another option that you guys can do. They're like everything else. There's good parts. Went too far. There's good parts of being in a co-op versus bad parts to being in a co-op. Some good parts is you can join together and the members want to come together and create this opportunity. And it's something that you guys may be able to do. There's always different co-ops around. We have a co-op in Fort Collins. There's a co-op there's tons of co-ops in California. They're all around. They have the tax advantages. You have the benefit of having multiple members, but also remember, having multiple members may mean that it may take longer to make a decision. And financing may end up being an issue because it may not appeal to bigger venture capitalists. So that is always that toss-up. What are you going to do? What's more important? Where can you get in? Is it going to fit? Is this concept going to fit with your concept? And then I gave you guys yet another link for some amazing, if it'll load, food co-ops in different areas that you guys can research and see if you want to be a part of it. Another part I put here is business acumen. So this, for those who may not know what that means you may all be a bunch of people that have this like a dream, but nobody actually understands the business aspect to help get it done. So that can happen a lot with the co-ops, where you have all these people that have a dream, but nobody has that business knowledge to be able to help get that dream to be more profitable and to make certain that it's going to last. So remember those kind of things when you're looking at co-ops. I also gave all these wonderful links for you guys. Just threw so many links at you guys to look at for your IRS, to different laws and legal structures. And then the last one I wanted you to look at because it's a great, this guy who's done this Bill Vanderkoo has done a wonderful job of doing a vertical integration with his place. He controls every single aspect, from the feed to the farm to the freight to the food. He has a holding company, and he has all of these are under his holding company. So it's a great thing to look at when you're thinking big. It's a great example to see, like, he controls every single aspect. And it's also a great way for you guys to think about, like, what if I go big? What are the possibilities? Because you have to be open to all the possibilities and figuring out which one's going to be best for you. So remember this when you're looking at your assignment that you're going to do early, because you'll get extra credit if you do it by Saturday, 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. Isn't that right, chefs?
That's right. Am I muted? I'm not. Okay. Thank you so much for that. So guys, I'm just going to talk about the assignment real quick here. Just like last week, there's not a lot of assignment description here. You've got these few simple questions. How much money will you need to start up your concept? So in order for me to know if you're being realistic with that number, what do I need?
The concept and
Details.
how and why.
Yes, awesome. I love it. Concept summary. With every answer in this course, how and why are very important. Starting with that realistic estimate of how much money you're actually going to need to come up with is worth 25% of your grade on that. So if you forget to put that number in, that brings you down to a 75%. So that's a big hit and something you're not going to want to forget. Next, this line is really where the bulk of your time is going to be spent. What sources of funding are you going to use, and why have you chosen those? Why does an angel investor make sense for your concept? And if you are going to choose an angel investor, you're probably going to need another backup plan. Really, no matter what your funding source, you are going to need at least two, because you never know if you're actually going to be able to secure that SBA loan or an angel investor who is willing to invest on your terms. So please, at least two, and tell us why they work the best. Why have you chosen them in your situation with your concept? The next line, there's kind of a lot here. Who would own your business? So if I say I'm going to own my business, what do you think Chef Greg is going to tell me? If that's my whole answer for this third line, I'm going to own my own business.
That's not enough. Why are you going to own your own business, and how are you going to own your own business? What type of business will it be called? If it is your own business, will it be sole proprietorship or LL, like that?
I love it. That's
Yes.
perfect.
Yes. Thank you for that. How are you going to own your own business? Just like when you have a car loan, you don't fully own that car. The bank owns that car until you have paid it off and you own every asset of that vehicle. So the how behind if you are going to own your business is very, very important.
Yep. And so that ownership structure, are you a corporation? What type of corporation? Are you a partnership? Are you a sole proprietorship? Are you going to be an LLC? That is the how of it, and the why of it is up to you to tell me. Each of these different structures have their own advantages and disadvantages to them. A sole proprietorship, there's nobody sharing those profits with, right? But if you get sued, there's no protection. You are just hanging out there. With an LLC, you've got some protection from that. There's advantages and disadvantages to each of these ownership structures. And so that's where that research comes back in. Why? Let us know why you chose the ownership structure that you chose. I think Chef Greg was about to say something, and I cut him off.
I was just going to say, Chef Jonathan's right on the sole proprietorship. That is your money at all times. However, when we were talking about assets, you're personally responsible for that. So a lot of people's biggest asset, like is their home, for an example. That asset is now tied to your business. So there is huge advantages of just making all that money for yourself all the time. However, you do need to be more careful mentally because your fallback is technically all of your own personal assets.
If somebody sues you, they can take your car, they can take your house, they can take the clothes right off your back with a sole proprietorship if they win that lawsuit, and it is above and beyond your insurance. Just as a total side note, please get insurance, really good insurance for all of your businesses. Very important piece. But yeah, so an LLC will insulate you from that personal responsibility because the closer you are to a corporation, the more it's seen as its own person. So that corporation gets sued instead of you, the person who owns it with a corporation. With an LLC, it's usually more towards that protected side. So
if you act unethically, they can still sue you. Yep. So just remember that. Sorry, Chef Jonathan, to interrupt. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that was perfect. Yeah, that was perfect. I feel very strongly about protecting your own personal assets, especially in such a high-risk industry as ours, because you don't know what's going to happen. And those angel investors, they will probably sue you if you go down, if you don't have some written contract that says they can't. If you fail as a business, they still want their money most of the time. So what's your plan? That's why I say have backups. Angel investors, like Chef Rachel said, may not be the angels they sound like. And getting everything in writing is always extremely, extremely important.
And this is where having good lawyers will help too. Having a good lawyer help you set this up. And now, like for those who have an investor, partner, anything, this is also a really important thing that I wanted to mention too, is having those awkward conversations with your partner is really, really important to do in the beginning. What if the partnership, what if you guys get in, like start arguing and now hate each other and you're both in this business? What happens to the business? What if somebody dies? Like what if the partner, like one of the members dies? Who gets their share? Those are really, really awkward conversations to have, but it's really important to do in the beginning so that you don't have this awkward conversation later. Like, so coming up with like, oh yeah, I'm going to be the owner. It's like, well, that's great, but what are you going to do in the business? Like having the jobs set up, like specific jobs for each of the members, what they're going to do for the business. What happens if somebody gets divorced? Like, what if I divorce my husband? Is he going to get half of my, like the business? He's not part of the business, but he could get half if I don't have it written properly. So these are things that you need to make certain that you do. Like you have to think of all these scenarios, even though they're not the prettiest to be thinking about while you're thinking about your wall tile and recipes and all the business you're going to get. But they're really, really important ones that you need to focus on.
And Jennifer, can you explain a little bit about what you just asked in the chat? I'm just not quite following you.
I think I'm confusing myself, actually. So you're saying that, let's just say, we'll use my little bakery as an example. I'm going to need to look up for research for 2 investors and a is that CCL?
LLC?
LLC, excuse me. And that they're basically like a lawyer. Is that what I'm understanding?
Nope, sorry. That's an LLC is a way of structuring the ownership of your business. So you can be an owner as a sole proprietor, or you can be an owner as an LLC. And that's where that research comes in, is talking about what that limited liability corporation is and what the advantages and disadvantages are. So for this assignment, Jennifer, what you need to do is have how much money you need to start up your bakery, your concept summary, at least 2 sources of funding. It doesn't need to be 2 different investors. It could be an SBA loan and a credit card, it could be an angel investor and one of those various types of loans on that link that Chef Rachel put out there. There's a lot of different sources of startup capital.
Okay.
You just want to have at least 2 for this assignment, and talk about why you chose those 2.
And you want to have a plan B. You always want to have that plan B, C, D, E, F, G. Like, you always want to have that backup plan. So it's helping you figure out your backup plan. So you want to make sure, because, something can happen. Like, they could end up, the investor may not end up having any of the money that they promised that they had. So now what? What are you going to do now? So that's why it's important to have that plan B and C and D, right, chefs?
Exactly. And then finally, you're going to talk about who's going to own your business and how that's going to be set up. So that's the whole assignment in a nutshell. Concept summary, money, where you're going to get that money, and how you're going to set up the ownership. Does that answer your question, Jennifer? Awesome. Tammy?
Yeah, I was thinking, where are you going to go? What's the best thing to do if you have less than stellar credit?
So that's going to require some research. There's a lot of options out there if you do not have perfect credit. An SBA loan might not be in the cards for you if you have less than perfect credit. However, an angel investor, a venture capitalist, a partnership, these might be much better choices for you. It just depends on what you're looking for and what you're looking to get out of that relationship and how you want to set that relationship up. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Typically, going through Small Business Administration or a bank, they are going to live and die by your credit score. You're going to have the credit score impeccably high, or they're not even going to look at the rest of what you have to say. Not always, but typically.
Are there any other questions?
Credit.
Sorry, Tammy, what did?
I should find a partner with perfect credit then.
But you should still work on yours too.
Yeah.
Not
Right.
to be a downer with that.
But do you guys have any other questions?
Christopher?
Oh, yes. So this is a lot of information, a lot of good information. So my question is this: given the information and the links that we were given tonight, for most of us to be potential small business owners, even after doing our own research, is there some type of advisory group or people that we could reach out to help us make those decisions, even after we do the research and read the information? Because I think even after doing the research, you're still going to need somebody to help you make some of those critical decisions that you need to make, especially if you're doing this for the first time.
Yeah, and there are people out there, like when I said, like, get a good lawyer, because there are specific lawyers that will focus primarily on helping you start your small business. So they can help you answer those questions if you want to know, like, what your venture capitalist versus your angel investor are wanting from you, what they want their return on investment to be.
Right.
So they can help guide you. And I mean, this is where, you know, like you're learning your competition, but you're also learning like who's around you. And sometimes like we say competition, like, oh no, they're competition. But in reality, like some of these people are like friends, you know, that you just happen to be having a different concept, and like they're still your competition, but they're still going to be your friends. So like look at all the people that you're going to school with. You guys are not going to all work together in the same exact business. You guys are in different parts of the like country and locations and stuff, but you're still you're still a competition, right? But you can still lean on each other and find out like, you know, what's happening, what's not happening, like where, how they're doing, what they did, those kind of things. Because if my friend came to me and asked me for advice on a restaurant, I will hands down help them out. So it's knowing, like, because I also know that my concept is strong. I believe in my product. So I have no problem helping my friend with their concept either.
Okay.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
The last part, to tell how we're going to set up the ownership, is that meaning either sole proprietor or corporation or LLC, or that's what that means, right?
Yep.
Cool. Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? I know it's a very broad topic that we get to talk about for only 60 minutes, but that's why I try to give you guys as many links as possible so that you can see all the differences. And once again, I mean, this is part of being an entrepreneur. You have to do your research. It's on you because this is your dream. So you are in charge of making that dream happen. You can't rely on somebody else to do it. You need to make certain that you can back up your dream. So remember that for your future endeavors. And remember, problem solving is key. Problem solving. It's key. That banana bread didn't turn out. We just turned it into banana parfaits and bread pudding, right? Yes, chef, that's right. Oh, I'm so glad you guys agree. Do you guys have any other questions for me? Yes, Nadine, get a good accountant. That is key. Accountant is a wonderful, wonderful tool that you should have. Anybody else? Any questions? Anybody? Anybody? No? Well, then I hope everybody has a fabulous, fabulous holiday break. Remember, extra credit if you turn it in early, extra credit if you do your survey. And I want to personally thank all of you guys for being my first class here that I got to teach at Escoffier. So thank you so much because I have really enjoyed it. And I hope that you guys have enjoyed the class also. And I hope everybody has a fabulous break. And remember, we start back again January 9th, right? So everybody's going to come back refreshed, 10 pounds heavier, maybe. Well, at least for me, I'll be 10 pounds heavier in a sugar coma. You know, nice and refreshed and ready to learn. Chefs, do you guys have anything to add?
I do. Thank you so much, guys, for being such an awesome group. I got to see you guys back in 165 and again now. I'm probably not going to see you again in your journey through Escoffier, but I wish you luck going forward. It's an awesome couple of classes that are coming up, and then your externship afterwards, which is hugely exciting. So, yeah, just thank you so much for the hard work and thought you put in, and I wish you luck.
Thanks, Chef.
Yep. Thank you, everybody. I started the same time as Rachel, so I'm very new also. So you guys were one of my first classes. And if you guys have CA202 next block or the one after that, I will see you soon.
Oh, okay. That's cool. Thank you very much, chefs.
Thank you, everybody.
All awesome.
Have an awesome holiday too, please.
Thanks, Chuck.
Yes, thank
Happy
you.
holiday, guys.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
your
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye. Happy holidays. Bye.